We're getting started with a little bit of Tom Petty here on the Florida High School Football Scoreboard Show, powered by Varsity Sports Network here on the Varsity Sports Network. Josh Wilson coming to you live from the office tonight as we get settled in with week one here on the high school football scoreboard slate. A lot going on around the Sunshine State. In terms of week one, Mother Nature is having an impact on some games, depending on where you're at. If you're along the Space Coast, you might have had some game cancellations there. There's been some here in the Gainesville area where I am at. And then we've got some in the course across around the state, spread around the state, but we've got scores coming in left and right from around the Sunshine State on our scoreboards. You can go to FloatHSFootball.com and find the scores as well if you're looking for a quick score, but we'll have scores here throughout the night. Of course, right now we're doing a little bit of some different things here with this, but we're getting live here on Varsity Sports Network, and of course you can see me in the background. The background is all good to go, and got my man Ontavius McCullough is sitting there having thing, and Bobby Latmore has let me know he sees me live as well. So we are live indeed here on Varsity Sports Network, and it's great to have y'all along here. So just taking a look right now, we're going to hit the top 25 scoreboard here in a moment here. There's a lot of things going on. So I am glancing to my second screen to my left. So if y'all see that, y'all will see that I am kind of glancing here on another screen as well, trying to look at the scores here because there is a bunch of scores. I'll tell you all this right now, 300 plus about around 300 games were scheduled for this week. So again, a lot of games around the Sunshine State scheduled here and for week one. And it's amazing. We've got everything from the local matchups from just the local rivalry games all the way to we're having Broward versus USA going on right now this weekend. And of course, there was two games last night, 2 games tonight, 3 games tomorrow. So there's a lot of action going on around the Sunshine State. Some games will be on ESPN and other networks as well. So again, a lot of going on week one. It's high school football season. Football season's back. I mean, it's like we're waiting, and all of a sudden, here it is. It's here. It presents itself. So this is great, and we're going to take a look around the Sunshine State here in a few minutes, actually, and we're going to actually hit the top 25 scoreboard here in just a moment once I call that up here, because, again, a lot going on, and actually, I can tell you this right now. We do have an upset already. Number 3, Miami Central did take down number 1, IMG Academy here in the first game of the season, so really, really, really exciting things right here and with that. And of course, we'll get right into the top 25 scoreboard here with everything going right now. Number 5, Jesuit defeated Wharton 24-13. A lot of people thought Wharton might have a chance to beat the defending state champions here coming out of this one. But Jesuit holds on 24-13 over a very, very well coached Wharton team. So I'll tell you this right now, that that win is a huge win for Jesuit to get over Wharton right there to come out and start the season. Very, very interesting score out of, as I just mentioned, the Broward versus USA showcase right now. There was 2 games tonight. One of those games, number 7, Cardinal Gibbons against DeMatha out of Maryland, I should say, Maryland. DeMatha Catholic, final score, 11-6. 11-6 is your final score. Cardinal Gibbons over DeMatha, and that's a huge, huge win for Matt DeBuck's program to get started 1-0 on the season, of course. And here's another one from the Broward versus USA showcase tonight. Number 15, Dillard against Rock Creek Christian out of Maryland. 35-0 for the Panthers. Dillard wins 1-0 on the season. Now, as I mentioned, that we just had an upset. Number 1 IMG Academy fell to number 3 Miami Central. That score 20-14. That is a final right there, and a huge win right there for the Rockets. And I will tell you all this right now, that is going to probably shoot Miami Central up to the number 1 spot in the Florida Top 25 when we do update that on the Florida Gridiron Report next week, and we update the rankings fully on FloatHSFootball.com. So be prepared for that. We will definitely give you some updates in that regard to the rankings, but I believe my thinking right now is Miami Central, we're going to jump them to number 1 because that's a huge win. We were not sure if Miami Central had the capabilities of being able to beat IMG Academy coming out of the gate, but this is really huge for the Rockets to get this win, go to 1-0 on the season. And actually that's win number 1 for Jube Joseph, the new head coach for the Rockets, longtime assistant under Roland Smith. Of course, remember Roland Smith moved on to the University of Miami as a assistant coach under Mario Cristobal's new coaching staff there with the Hurricanes. So Jube Joseph gets his first win as the head coach of the Rockets there for Miami Central. Taking up some scores right now. We've got some scores that are still thing. Again, we've had weather delays. Some games have gotten started later. So we're sitting here in a situation trying to find out what's some getting scores going on and see if anything has come out. And here's some scores from last night, because these were top 25 games that were from last night. So go ahead and hit on those. Number 19, Western 33 the 14 over Johns Creek out of Georgia. And then number 23, Buchholz, 31-14 over Lake City, Columbia. Big win there to start for Buchholz over Mark Whittemore's the program right there, 1-0 on the season. Now, this one here, we had another upset in the top 25 last night. Number 20, Miami Palmetto falls to Homestead 19-7. That is a huge win right there, and that is going to move Homestead up into some of the rankings. We're not sure if that will enter them in the top 25 yet, but Homestead, congratulations. You just got some attention there by beating Miami Palmetto last night in that game to open the season. So Homestead moves to 1-0 on the season. Number 22, Pine Forest last night beat Tate 34-0. No questions about that. Now we got some interesting games going on here. Actually, the Dillard Rock Creek game, from my understanding, now is not final, but Dillard's in the lead. I think Dillard's going to win that one. So let's see what happens. Apparently, it's gone flipped from being final to now back in the fourth quarter. So we'll have to check on that one. But number 14, Trinity Christian out of Jacksonville, 41-32 over Ed White right now, late in the fourth quarter. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Trinity Christian had gone out to a big league, but Ed White has fought back here. So we'll see what happens there between the Conquerors and the Commanders as we roll along here. Interesting score in the fourth quarter. Number 18, Apopka. Sorry, Dan LaForest, if you're listening or watching right now, but looks like Ocoee's got a 12-7 lead right now on your Blue Darters. So 12-7 right now, Ocoee over number 18, Apopka. Very, very interesting score. We'll have to see what's going on there. Number 21, Columbus, 28-9 over Benedictine out of Savannah, Georgia, 28-9 right there. So number 21, Columbus is up winning in their game right this second. And there's an interesting dandy going along the Sun Coast right now. Number 9, Miami Northwestern, and number 6, Venice, all knotted up at 26 in the fourth quarter. So that a very interesting score right there. Lakeland, 42-6 over Clearwater, fourth quarter. That game probably should be going final. Number 8, Sanford Seminole, up 48-0 in the third quarter on Sarasota Riverview. So that right there is a very, very, I thought that game would be a lot closer in terms of in terms of the score, but Sanford Seminole is just literally putting the pedal to the metal on Sarasota Riverview here tonight. And then taking a look at number 16, Edgewater, 16-7 on Bishop Moore, third quarter. Again, the weather has had an effect on a lot of areas tonight. A lot of teams are trying to get a lot of games off, and they really want this to happen. So, week one is important to set the tone in terms of what they want to be able to accomplish here in 2022. Number 17, Jones, is down to number 11, Cocoa, by 1.76.5. That game got started off late. That game is actually live over on 3 channels. I actually want to say at least two of the channels tonight. That will be VSN or Orlando Metro and VSN Space Coast Treasure Coast. So those two, that game is live on 2 channels right now. And I believe Bobby Latmore, Dan LaForest, and a couple of the other, Bobby Allen as well over there on that call right there between Jones and Cocoa. A huge, huge game to open up the season. And now I'm not sure about what's going on between number 12, Tampa Bay Tech, and Plant, but they say 6-0 at half. We'll have to find out if that game has gone any further in terms of the score. Number 14, Osceola, and number 25, Treasure Coast. That was a game at half. The last reported score was 14-5 at half, but that's been a bit since that score is updated. So we will definitely have to find out what's going on with that one. And some of the games tomorrow involving the top 25, number 4, St. Thomas Aquinas versus St. Joseph Preps out of Pennsylvania. That's a 12 o'clock kickoff. That is on ESPN. And then, of course, 4 o'clock kickoff for number 13, American Heritage Plantation against Los Alamitos out of California. Again, that's a 4 o'clock, and I believe that game is actually also going to be on ESPN as well. And then number 2, Chaminade Madonna versus St. John's out of Washington, D.C. That's an 8 o'clock kickoff. And all 3 of those games I just mentioned are part of the Broward versus USA Challenge. And all those games will be at St. Thomas Aquinas tomorrow. So at Brian Piccolo Field there, and they're right there in Fort Lauderdale on the campus of St. Thomas Aquinas. So very much a lot going on right here in terms of what we got on the top 25 slate again, but there's a lot more great games going on around the Sunshine State, a ton of great games here in the week 1 slate. And definitely will be a lot to watch and to keep an eye on, because week 1 sets the tone. By the time we get to week 4, week 5, we start to get a little bit of a separation. But once we hit week 6, week 7, the separation really starts to take in place, because a lot of the district games will be happening. Of course, we remember we're new classification. We just went through reclassification, a whole new classification system, metro classes, suburban classes, and the rural class. 9 classifications this year in football. 9 state champions are going to be crowned at the end of this season come December. And we'll find out hopefully a little bit more later on the season which where the state title games are going to be at in terms of which classes are going to be at. We already know the locations: Tallahassee, Fort Lauderdale, Tallahassee, Gene Cox Stadium, Fort Lauderdale at Dry Pink Stadium. So we're going to find out again which classifications go to those particular sites here, hopefully in the next month and a half, hopefully pretty much sooner than that. So once the FHA determines what's going to happen, I believe there is a little bit of reworking of the contract with the FHA with between both sites in order to accommodate now 9 state championship games. But here it is, week 1, we're underway. And I definitely tell you what, it is going to be a lot of fun. And I am definitely looking forward to what's going to happen here in the 2022 season. And I'll tell y'all, we're going to also get some phone calls in. I got Marty Paulman, voice of the Bishop Kenny Crusaders over there at 1010 XL 92.5 in Jacksonville. Did that game tonight. We'll get him and some thoughts, and actually he'll probably update us with some other scores from around the Jacksonville and Gainesville area that he's aware of, because he's that knowledgeable as well in terms of things. But we'll bring you scores, anything from all the metro classes, suburban classes, rural classes, Sunshine State Athletic Conference, you name it, each part of the state, we've got it here. This is the Florida High School Football Scoreboard Show here on the Varsity Sports Network. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back here in probably around 5 to 7 minutes. So stay tuned right here on the Varsity Sports Network. Let's see. Yep. I think we're back here live on the Florida High School Football Scoreboard Show. Not trying to make sure to see why I'm not all of a sudden. There we go. Oh, right. There we go. I can hear myself now again. Apparently, I had one thing on the button, but we're back here on the Florida High School Football Scoreboard Show. As I said, here on Varsity Sports Network. If you're joining us live on the other channels, I know a couple of the other channels still have games going on, so they'll join us here in progress here as we do the High School Football Scoreboard Show. Of course, you got. Good thing, and this nice thing is that I found out there is a scoreboard ticker running right on the bottom of your screen. So there is a scoreboard ticker powered by ScoreStream, so you can see the scores coming in around from the Sunshine State here on the Florida High School Football Scoreboard Show, powered by Varsity Sports Network. And of course, I'm Josh Wilson, your host here, and a lot going on around the Sunshine State, and we're going to start taking a look around some different regions. How about, let's take a look. Where should I start at tonight? Where should I start at tonight in terms of the regions? You know what? Let's head to our friends over at VSM Big Bend, over that area. Of course, all our scoreboards are presented by Varsity Sports Network, powered by ScoreStream. And of course, you'll be able to see that right there in terms of what the Big Bend is working for us here. And actually, hopefully, I'll see why I see what's happened here. The Big Bend thing, I will having a little bit of a trouble with the links, but I am actually going to go around the other way to get to those links because I've got them sitting here in a special document, actually, because apparently some reason the links are not one to connect right on the website themselves, which I'll get those fixed. That's not an issue. So, but we're going to take a look at the Big Bend scoreboard here in just a moment here, and I'm going to pull that up right now because that's a big thing for me to be able to see what's going on, and we'll tell you right now exactly what's going on around the Big Bend. And of course, going right into it, Monroe Day up 28-0 on Terrell County out of Georgia, fourth quarter right there. Freeport down 47-13 to Bluntstown, fourth quarter. And of course, we got some finals rolling in from the Big Bend area. Lowndes up 14-0 on the half over against Gadsden County. Lowndes, Georgia, there against playing Gadsden County, 14-0 at half right there. Holmes County up 37-0 at half on Graceville. Sneed's up 38-0 on Cottondale first quarter. Not sure if there's any updates there, if that game got started late because of weather over there in Jackson County, in the Jackson County area. So we'll just definitely keep a roll here right now. North Bay Haven 35-7 over Franklin County. Liberty County 21-0 over Vernon. Walton 28-7 over Mariana. Wakulla 25-24 over Childs. And that it went to overtime. So a very, very, very close game there for Wakulla and Childs. Florida High defeats Trinity Catholic 22-19. So Jared Hickman's team gets a win here over Trinity Catholic, get a big close win over the number one team in Class 1S there to start the season. How about this? And I've got to verify this, and I'm going to double check this real quick because something tells me if this is the case, we're Gobby's in for a long season. So I am going to check here real quick and see if this is truly the case here, and I'm going to find out because something just tells me something just really is thing, and I have a feeling this score is very, very accurate. It's just I want to see this, and I really, really want to see this if this is the case. And looking at the tweets on Twitter so far, this I feel like this is very much the true. And I will tell you, it's I will tell you this: 71-6. Yes. Lincoln beat Godby 71-6. That's the final score. If y'all can believe that, I mean, that's 71 points. Well, I mean, that's the big thing, and that is the big thing right there. 71-6, Lincoln over Godby. How about that? North Florida Christian 35-10 over Leon, and then of course, actually Monroe Day, Terrell County. That game has gone final 28-0 Monroe Day. So Russell Ellington gets his first win as the head coach to start off the 2022 season. And of course, we'll head over towards and get ready to go in towards the how about let's go to North Central Florida, see what's happened here in North Central Florida, because we'll hit the Panhandle kind of last, because remember, Central Time Zone, they're getting out starting an hour later than us, so we'll see what happens there. Hopefully we'll be able to bring in some live calls and stuff here on the show as well, trying to work on that part of the feature as we roll live here on Varsity Sports Network. But if not, we'll just keep rolling with scores here all night. I mean, that's what we're going to do. And actually, just a quick look at the top 25 scoreboard. Number 18, Apopka, now has taken a 13-12 lead on the Coe there in the fourth quarter. So very, very, very interesting situation going there with that particular game between Apopka and Coe. So, and we're hopefully get some scores. Actually, interesting now, number 12, Tampa Bay Tech, 13-7 over Plant there, sitting there in the fourth quarter. So, Tampa Bay Tech kind of struggling, kind of coming out of the gate, but Plant might be improved. So we will definitely see what has happened there. But let's take a look at North Central Florida. There is some scores that have come in final. But first, before I get to it, PK Young Eastside postponed until 9:30 tomorrow morning. Again, that was weather related delay right there. Vanguard and Gainesville canceled. From my understanding, is that game is likely not to be made up. So week one game between two longtime rivals between Vanguard and Gainesville off the table this week. All right, taking a look over at St. John Lutheran and 8-man football. Yes, we will report 8-man football scores too here at Sunshine State Athletic Conference as a partner of the Varsity Sports Network. So definitely we'll hit on some of these 8-man scores. St. John Lutheran 30-0 over Academy at the Lakes. All Saints another 8-man score. All Saints 48. Ocala Christian nothing. That is a final score there. We're trying to find out. I want to find out about this Ocala St. Joseph score, because my understanding is that game got started late. So I want to verify that one. And let's see. Let's take a look, because that game was going to get started late there. And my understanding is that, let's see if we find anything out, and go to here. Thanks to Cam Parker, who follows us here on Twitter. And right now, yes, game call due to weather after the fourth quarter. I'm not sure the game will be made up or completed. Usually the rules state that when the game's called in the first thing, that's not a final score. So we're going to have to take this one and mark it as canceled or postponed. So that game, because the state rules say that a game has to be completed up to halftime for it to count, then this is only due after one quarter of play. Do not think this is going to count for a stand for thing. I'm pretty sure that St. Joseph will not agree to let it count, because this could affect them in terms of playoff standings, especially if they do show improvement during the season here, considering the last few years they have struggled here. But St. Joseph definitely probably will contest that right there, the thing. So we'll find out if they're going to try to make it up or complete it. We're not 100% sure, but right now, as it stands in this situation, this game is kind of in terms of a postponement, not anything final at this particular time right now here, as we look here at the scores on the Florida hsfootball.com, the Florida High School Football Scoreboard show, as we are on Varsity Sports Network here tonight. And hopefully as we go through here during the season, we'll be hitting the road here and getting out to some places around the Sunshine State, and we'll be talking more about what's going on there. And now let's roll through some other scores that we got. Hawthorne defeats Middleburg 24-7. Chiefland 47-7 over Crescent City. LaFay at 22-0 over Dixie County. And let's see if I can get Marty Palman on the line here. We're going to bring him on here in just a moment here, and hopefully I'll be able to have him connected here in just a second. So I'm sure he'll be able to hear me, but let's see if I can see if we can hear him. And Marty, how you doing, man? Yeah, we're hold on one second. Actually, there we go. Let's see.
Live on the radio.
Yes, we're live on the radio, and I'm going to find out if they're actually going to be able to hear us because of the way we're connected. So,
oh,
yeah, definitely. Right. But we'll talk a thing. So you can hear me through the mixer, which is great.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what's going on?
Well, I mean, I tell you what's going on. We've got some scores around the area that we're going through. We're actually going through the North Central Florida part right in a second. Some interesting scores.
A lot of those games were either postponed till tomorrow or have been delayed. There's a lot of weather issues in North Central Florida, especially around Alaska County, where apparently there were no games completed tonight.
Yes, the thing, and it's so our call, the call that I'm going through we can hear it right now on Varsity Sports Network, which is amazing. We've got the call. We got that part worked out, which is great. So Marty, we'll get to your game. Actually, let's go ahead and dive into your game. You were at Bishop Kenny tonight. Who did Bishop Kenny have on the week 1 schedule, and what happened there?
Well, yeah, we were open it tonight at First Coast actually, and First Coast, man, how the mighty have fallen. 10 years ago, they played for a state title, and they had some great years. Last year, First Coast was winless, and tonight, Bishop Kenny shut them out, 27-0 at First Coast to begin the season. But Bishop Kenny's defense is pretty dominant. They'll open, and by the way, their home opener next week, you'll like this, Bishop Kenny hosts Middleburg. So that's the home opener next Friday night at Bishop Kenny. That
will be very, very interesting there. That'll be an interesting game. And I mean, Middleburg only lost 24-7 to Hawthorne tonight. So, I mean, Middleburg did contend with Hawthorne a little bit. A lot of people thought, that Hawthorne would go into Middleburg and, maybe roll them. But, hey, the Broncos are saying, no, we're not going to let people just roll us. We're going to fight.
Yeah. Well, and we were the game here at First Coast. They got it in, although it started raining. I'm driving back from Jacksonville, and it's raining pretty hard. But they had some delays. Trinity Christian Ed White was delayed. Mandarin and Fletcher. They had some lightning delays later. But the weather, luckily, we got some of the games done. And I couldn't say that for Gainesville because Alachua County, Vanguard and Gainesville never started. They're going to play tomorrow morning at Booster Stadium in Ocala now, 11 a.m.
Oh, really? So
really,
the Vanguard Gainesville game is now being moved down to Ocala to be played tomorrow. Yeah. So they will get that in. So that's great. Great news there.
Yeah, right. Well, in the field after last night's game with Buchholz and Columbia tonight, the field's a mess. But they had a lot of rain. But because of lightning tonight, the game was delayed. But they'll play tomorrow morning as well. Eastside and PK Young, 2 other Gainesville schools, canceled tonight. We'll play tomorrow. And Newberry and Santa Fe were trying to get their game in. Last I've heard, it was near halftime, but they're in a weather delay. That's out at Newberry. Oak Hall's game was called after the first quarter against St. Joseph. So rough night tonight in Alachua County for all the teams, really. Except Buchholz, who played last night, and after delay won. Quite a night last night at Field.
Yeah, definitely, indeed. It definitely weather delays have happened. Actually, I will say that some of Alachua County didn't get canceled. We'll talk about that in a moment here in a thing.
Hawthorne did. I'm sorry.
Okay, so here's some other scores. Interlochen 38, Lake Weir 14, Dunellen 20, Westport 7, Brantford 31, Eaglesview 8, Bell 20, Trenton 7. Wow. When's the last time we talked about Bell beating Trenton? It's been a hot minute there in Palaca.
Yeah. I heard that score.
Yeah.
I saw that Bell game there too. Bell and Trenton about 10 miles apart.
No, absolutely. Palaca 27, Umatilla 0, second quarter. Santa Fe up 27-13 on Newberry, second quarter. Bradford up 21-0 on Baker County, second quarter.
Wow, Bradford. No, that's right. There's a lot of games you hear being delayed, or hopefully they'll pick them up. Maybe tonight, if not, then tomorrow. But yeah, the weather started to become an issue here the last couple of hours with all these games. And you said,
I'll tell you this. This score is kind of interesting. University Christian 33, Union County 14, fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's a big win for University Christian. It really is, because Union County is one of the best teams in 1A, coming in 1R, pardon me now. After last year's, they went 12-1, lost to Cleveland in the third round of the playoffs. But that's a good win for UC to beat Union County. And that's when at home they can hold on and beat the Tigers in an opening week.
No, absolutely. And let's take a look at the Jacksonville scoreboard on the Varsity Sports Network. Scoreboards presented by Varsity Sports Network. So we're going into the scoreboards into the Jacksonville area. And of course, interesting enough is that as we roll through this, how about this? We'll take a look at Riverside beats Westside 12-6. Very close game. Interesting. That is a district game, week 1 district game between 2 district teams right there, Westside and Riverside right there. So Riverside gets a district win there to open the season over Westside, but a very, very close one there.
Yeah, that was a defensive struggle. Of course, Riverside's breaking in a new coach. Ote Small stepped down after 11 seasons this past winter as the head coach at Westside, Lee and then Westside, or Riverside, pardon me. So, yeah, that's a good win for their new head coach over Westside. Westside has a new coach, I believe, as well. So, a lot of rivalry game too, and you're right, it's a district game to start week 1. And I don't know if the score that really took me tonight in Northeast Florida, Creekside beat Vieira 49-0.
That one stunned me a little bit. I mean, not so much the fact that Creekside beat Vieira, it's the fact that Creekside beat Vieira by that many points.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if Vieira has fallen that much or Creekside that good. But another St. John's County game, Bartram Trail held off Pontevedra with a defensive struggle, but Bartram won that game. And then how about the first game for Beachside High School? And they played the other new high school in St. John's County, Coy Creek. And last I saw, Coy Creek was winning that game. So Beachside High School, their first game tonight for their new school.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, as you said, Coy Creek opened this last year. Beachside opened this year. And my understanding, that'll be the last new high school for St. Johns County for at least 5 years. So if you're right. That's I mean, it's interesting that the two newest high schools north of I-4 have been to Coy Creek and Beachside. So that's where you go with it right there. But how about this? Reigns 19-13 over Monsignor Pace out of Miami. Mantron 27-13 over Fletcher. Inglewood 35-6 over Paxson. And of course, your game that you mentioned is 27-0 Bishop Kenny over First Coast. By the way, a thing to note about First Coast is this is the start of Marty Lee's final year as head coach.
Oh, I was wondering about that. I didn't hear that, but he's in his 26th year as a head coach, I believe, at First Coast. And he's been with the school since the beginning in 1990. But they obviously have had a tough time lately, the last 5-6 years at the First Coast after a really good run in the 2000s, late 2000s, early 10s. But he's a really good guy. Always good. He's an FACA Hall of Fame member of Marty Lee, and he's got a lot of people who like him. So it's going to be weird seeing First Coast playing without Marty Lee coaching.
No, it will be very, very interesting once Marty Lee retires here after the end of the season. But how about this one that's really interesting? I thought given all the talent Nice had, given everything that Nice did last year, that Nice would come out and win this one against Andrew Jackson. But no, Andrew Jackson had other plans, and they spoiled the opening party for the season for Marcus Stokes and company there at Nice. 30-10. Andrew Jackson just rolls by Nice tonight.
That score did surprise me. It was one that I heard that as the game went on, I was pretty stunned. Jackson's defense could shut down Marcus Stokes, the UF commit, who's Nice's quarterback, and he had a lot of talk about him in Nice, but Jackson held him to 10 points. They beat 30-10. So, and that's at Nice. So that's a good win for the Jackson Tigers, who had to play a game a week ago against Brunswick. They went up to Georgia, so they're 1-1 now. They played 2 games. Jackson actually played Brunswick pretty tough last week, so maybe the Jackson Tigers will be a team we have to watch in Jacksonville.
Absolutely, and of course, taking a look at some other games here around the Jacksonville area, your neck of the woods, and of course, how about this? Fleming Island steamrolls Clay 49-7. That's a final there. Oakleaf steamrolls Orange Park 45-8. Barton Trail 13-7 over Pontevedra.
Yeah, not a good night for my alma mater, Orange Park, but you know what? They don't match up well with Oakleaf right now. But that was the first game for the dude Marcus Miller, who head coach at Oakleaf, who took over this offseason. Orange Park also the first game for their head coach. So Oakleaf though got it done. As you mentioned, Fleming Island's going to be a team I think it's got a chance to make a little run in the postseason. They're going to be good. They hammered Clay tonight. That's another rivalry game in Clay County. They absolutely took it to the Blue Devils to Clay tonight.
No, absolutely. And of course, a lot going on around the Sunshine State. And of course, Dan LaForce from Varsity Sports Network is like, he wants me to get him on, and we'll get him on. But look, there's a couple other scores looking at the Jacksonville area right this second. And of course, we're trying to see when the thing, Charleston County up 14-7 on Yulee, and that is in the fourth quarter. And of course, last I checked, I'm not sure if there's a final score yet or if it's in the fourth quarter, but Bowles was up 27-13 on St. Augustine.
Bowles won that game. I think it ended up being 34-13. Yeah, they won.
Not surprised. Not surprised there by any means.
That's a good test for Bowles week 1 to go down there to foot Brumley Stadium. And St. Augustine played tough for a while, but yeah, good win for Bowles. And now, and by the way, you mentioned Reigns beating Monsignor Pace. Now they have to play Trinity Christian next week. So Reigns' schedule is nothing to it's not anything to sneeze at early in the year. It's tough, and they're going to get Trinity next week after beating them on senior pace. And Bowles got Mandarin next week, so Bowles is continuing to play their tough slate as they do every year.
No, absolutely, and of course, a lot right there. And the Trinity Christian, they were in a thing. Let me see if we got a final on that one, because that one I think did go final at some point here. Let's see if we got a.
Yeah, that was a barn burner. That was a high scoring game, and it got delayed in the fourth quarter because of lightning there at White. But yeah, Trinity was winning instead. So those two teams, that's another. Those schools are like 5 miles from each other. I don't know if they play.
I don't even think they're 5 miles apart from each other, if you want to be honest.
Sure, it might be less. Yeah, you're right. It might be less than that. And I don't know if they play every year. I don't think they play all the time. But that's a good opening game for the season for Trinity Christian.
I don't understand why it's not a rivalry game over there. they should.
Yeah,
they're close to each other.
Yeah, because everyone else over there, like Riverside and Ed White are rivals. West Side and Ed White are rivals. Riverside and West Side are rivals. You're right. But Trinity, maybe because they're a private school, well, who knows? But they like Trinity to win state titles. They know all about that.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. And I'm waiting to see if there's a final on this one with Lakeland and Clearwater, but I'll have to find out about that one too. But there's been some interesting games that I'm not sure if you heard, but IMG Academy, first game of the season, they're the number 1 team ranked. Well, they're no longer going to be the number 1 team after Miami Central takes them down 20-14. So.
Wow, they lost Miami Central. Well, I believe Central been close before against IMG, so that's a big win for them. That is a pretty good sized upset. But good for Central to hear that win. That was at IMG? Or at,
that was at IMG, yes.
Okay. Wow, even better. So.
By the way, we just got a final. Number 9, Miami Northwestern takes down number 6, Venice, 32-26. So the defending state champs over there in Venice fall tonight to start the season 0-1.
Yeah, good game to start there. Northwestern didn't win state last year, but we know how good they could be. They won it back in 2019 and 18 back to back. But yeah, that's a good win for Northwestern to beat Venice. And this is probably the one thing that we've noticed now, Josh, with the point system and everything added up. Week 1, there are a lot of good games now. It used to be, you might play teams you could beat, but now because everyone's playing for points, they schedule some good games in week 1.
No, and the schedule for the entire season is huge. I mean, there's a lot of great games and a lot of great, teams that are going to play over the season. And especially when you look at teams that are playing top 25 or they're ranked top 10 in their own classification, they're all going to go head to head. And especially this year, with the new classifications, it was really hard to come up with rankings in a way that, okay, do you really feel confident? Because it's, at the end of the day, you call it a total crapshoot on this because
right.
you might know the first 5, but after that, and you're kind of like, okay, well, where do we go with this? Because we don't know a lot of things because it's a whole shakeup to the system of what we know in it. So, at the end of the day, it's going to be very interesting to see how Metro Suburban plays out here during the season.
Yeah, it is. I'm interested to see too how it works with only 4 classifications in Metro, Suburban, and then still the 1 rural class. But and at first it kind of, I was a little annoyed because you get used to the A's and the A system, but now you got to figure out who's in 3M and 2M. But I think you're right. I think in the end it's going to probably work out to be better for all the schools and better for some of these teams to have that can actually have a chance at a state title. Whereas right now they may not. They get to a point in the postseason and they run into a team that's just not going to beat.
No, absolutely. And of course, we just got a final for the Trinity Christian Ed White game, 48-40. Trinity Christian wins it right there as Berlin Dormany gets started with year number 32.
Yeah. How much longer will he do it? I guess as long as he keeps winning state titles, why would you stop it?
Well, I gotta tell you this. Bill Castle got started with this year is year 46.
Wow. So Berlin's not even the most have the most experience of a head coach in Florida. Bill Castle still got him by 14 years. That's interesting. But if you look at Duval County, the Jacksonville area, in the 90s and early 2000s, Corky Rogers was playing on the state titles bowls, and now it seems like it shifted to Verlin Dormany. He's now the one who's become the top and the longest tenured coach in that area. And that Trinity always could be good. But like you said, Bill Castle, man, he's been coaching about longer than we've been alive.
No, absolutely. You know what? I'll bring this up because before I have to go to a break here, we're going to bring this up real quick here. How about this? Bill Castle is in year 46. Corky Rogers had 465 total wins.
Yeah.
465. Bill Castle before tonight entered with 459 wins. Tonight, Bill Castle now has win 460. Bill Castle is now 5 wins away from tying Corky Rogers' total with the most wins of any head football coach in the state of Florida. I will tell you this. I think Bill Castle will eclipse Corky Rogers' record of 465 wins this year.
I mean, maybe he sails off into the sunset after breaking that record. Who knows, right?
I mean, we don't know. I mean, Bill Castle, and everybody says, even one of his longtime assistants, Coach Frazier, he's healthy. He's like a kid still in a way. So.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to hear. Well, that's interesting. And I thought that Corky Rogers record would stand maybe for years and years, but Bill Castle is closing in on it, so that's going to be interesting to see. I mean, Lakeland probably, like you said, you expect Lakeland to win 6 games. That would tie it, or 7. And, maybe we'll see if they can also make a run in the postseason down there this year.
No, absolutely. And, of course, and as you said, the Vanguard Gainesville game tomorrow at 11 a.m. at Booster.
Yep, game is moved to Ocala tomorrow morning. Yep, that'll be interesting. Like I said, I think I was understanding with the side of PK Young, we're going to play tomorrow as well at PK Young. So 2 games tomorrow will be made up from the weather issues tonight. But yeah, that Gainesville Vanguard game is being moved to another city completely. So
no, absolutely. So. All right, Marty. Well, I appreciate you stopping by here for a few minutes talking football, and we'll hopefully pick up with you next week as well. So,
all right, enjoyed it. Thanks, Josh. Talk to you soon.
Appreciate it. All right, that was Marty Paulman, the voice of the Bishop Kenny Crusaders over there at 1010XL 92.5 FM in Jacksonville. Going into it has been. I want to say it's Marty's 10th year, 11th year. He's been doing it for quite a long time now. There at 1010XL, doing the voice of Bishop Kenny Crusaders there, and. Of course, then they got Bowls on Bishop Kenny is on the FM side at 92.5. They got Bowls football on the other side at 1010XL. So 2 radio stations there in Jacksonville, still broadcasting high school football on the air. Something that has more become a rarity these days than not. But we're going to take a break here. We'll come back here in about 5 to 7 minutes here on the Florida High School Football Scoreboard Show. Don't go anywhere. You're watching it live here on Varsity Sports Network. Welcome back here on the Florida High School Football Scoreboard Show on Varsity Sports Network. Wherever you're tuning in, we appreciate you joining us here on the show tonight as we get week one underway here. And actually, I got Hunter Williams, who is one of the helping graciously intern with us this semester and doing some stuff as well with their during the season, actually. And I got Hunter here on the line here joining us here on the Florida High School Football Scoreboard Show. And Hunter, you were at the Columbia Buchholz game last night. Kind of give us a little bit of insight about what happened last night during the game.
Well, for starters, obviously, but as you're probably already aware, there was a lot of rain last night right before the game. By the time that game even got started off, it was basically just like a mud pit out there at Citizens Field, and I can't imagine how bad the field was tonight for Vanguard games. So I think that was stoned anyway.
So I mean, for that, I mean, Columbia kind of came out and struggled. What happened for Columbia? Because I know a lot of expectations were high for the Tigers this year to come out.
I think part of it is like when it came to last night, you're facing a defensive line that has two guys that are likely going to end up in Florida. It's going to make any matchup tough. The offensive line struggled last night for Columbia trying to get anything going on the right hand. Even though Columbia has to put give even a quarterback really with 2 seconds try to throw the ball, not going to really get any kind of rhythm going.
Yeah. And Hunter, just real quick, just get in a place where we can hear you clearly because you are breaking up a little bit. So just wanted to make sure of that. But no, I mean, for Buchholz, that's a big win right there over Columbia to get the season started. Of course, Buchholz coming off a state semifinal appearance. They from last year, their best season in 30-some years, and Buchholz is considered one of the teams in the mix to win the Class 4S state championship this year. And Columbia was in the mix. Columbia's been in the talk about Class 3S, but after last night's loss to Buchholz, that kind of you might want to pump the brakes just a little bit, I'm assuming.
I think there's always the idea that there's definitely the potential there, but I think kind of the impression I got after last night is that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done if they want to realistically compete in 3S.
No, absolutely. And of course, we're going to go into some of the other areas right now. And Hunter, you can just listen on in. We're going to hit to some areas here around the Sunshine State that we have not hit yet with some scores. And of course, we're here on until midnight here. We're coming up right now, 4 minutes until 11 o'clock Eastern time, and then 4 minutes till 10 o'clock Central time here on the Florida High School Football Scoreboard Show here on Varsity Sports Network, as we are live from the office tonight, as we say. Live in the office, yes, live in the office, wherever that office may be at, because Mother Nature has decided it wants to do everything but do things right here in terms of dealing with the weather in the Sunshine State, and of course, but we're going to go to the Orlando North scoreboard. Orlando North is Daytona Beach, most of the Lake County, Seminole County, Flagler County. We're going to hit those areas right now, and we got finals there rolling in. Lake Mary 13-7 over Dr. Phillips. Lake Howell 21-6 over Space Coast. Oviedo 26-21 over Lake Brantley. Flagler Palm Coast steamrolls Swanee 38-10. Cedar Creek Christian 44-0 over First Academy Leesburg. Harmony 33-20 over Eustis. Mainland got off to a sluggish start. DeLand got like a 21-0 lead, but then Mainland 42-29 over DeLand to open the season there. And of course, we're going right on down here. Springstead 52-0 over Tavares. And then we got some scores that are still outstanding, including Leesburg, Southlake, Lyman, Evans, and then Sefner Christian and the Masters Academy out of Oviedo. So we're not sure what's going on there, but hopefully we'll get some final score updates here on those right there. And of course, head into the Orlando metro area right now to get some scores there. And there was a real interesting one that I was watching over there, and that was Apopka and Ocoee. Ocoee was up like 12-7 on Apopka, and Apopka comes back and wins 13-12. So that's very interesting. Apopka having to escape by Ocoee by 1 point tonight.
Yeah, it is. Like, obviously, it's Ocoee's a solid team too, but Apopka probably the sluggish start to start the year.
No, absolutely. And that was a struggle right there in terms of for the Blue Darters that usually don't struggle in it, but it also might mean, hey, Ocoee's better than a lot of people think. So we'll have to look on both sides and see where the struggle, how that struggle came out to be there. But looking at some other scores: Parish Community 39-15 over Ponciana, Harmony 33-20 over Eustis, West Orange 46-12 over Oak Ridge, Cocoa a 13-6 final over Jones. So battle of two top 25 teams, number 11, Cocoa 13, number 17, Jones 6. That is a final there. Horizon 34.
Wait, what did it score was?
13-6. That was it. That's your final.
Are you sure it's the right score? Because I got a completing score.
What, on Cocoa Jones? Let me double check that one then, because I will think as a thing, I will have a thing of double check that, and I will tell my person to check on the have them check right now on that.
Because one of the guys on the forums is at the game. It's 29-19 Jones right now.
Okay, so the game is not final, so we'll take that back right there on that one. Why does it say final on our scoreboard? I do not know, but I'm having him check right now on that score right this second here, and then we're going to go on. Edgewater 22-7 over Bishop Moore, and then of course Pasco 33-13 over East Ridge. Tohopakalika, if we can say that name fast, not fast enough, more like say that name as slow as possible without butchering it. Everybody calls it Toho, but Tohopakalika 49-0 over Kissimmee Liberty. Windermere 14-3 over Colonial. Osceola 14-5 over Treasure Coast. That seems to be a final there. So a struggle right there between Osceola and Treasure Coast. 5 points, that's it. I mean, wait a second. Were they playing baseball over there? That's what I got to find out. That's what we have to find out. On some of these games, were they just hitting singles tonight? And that's what I'm curious about. Lake Island Prep 45-0 over Tenor Rock, and that is the final there. So we'll try to find out.
Yeah, the Treasure Coast Osceola game sounds like a very. Those are two top 25 teams for the state of Florida.
Mm-hmm. So now say what? So repeat that again, Hunter, because you broke up there.
I was saying Osceola Treasure Coast that battle of two top 25 teams.
Treasure Coast was ranked number 25, but Osceola was not. But Osceola getting that win, that we'll potentially be talking about Osceola moving into the top 25. But we'll have to see there. Hopefully, as we look at the scores during the weekend. So that's right there where we're looking at right there on that one. So, yeah, I mean, Hunter, there's been some
knocking off ING Academy.
Oh yes, that was a big win right there for ING for Miami Central over ING Academy. So a very, very big win right there, and we're going to take a look at that. But let's take a look. Let's go over to let me see if I can get the Citrus Belt scoreboard to pop up here. Of course, we've had a thing. We appreciate everybody visiting FortHSFootball.com tonight. A lot of traffic on the website with the scoreboards. And of course, you're watching here on Varsity Sports Network here with the Scoreboard show as well. Again, all our scores are powered by Scores Training and everything presented by Varsity Sports Network. DeSoto County 19-8 over Okeechobee. Northside Christian 21-0 over Keelan's Angels Christian Academy. Calvary Christian out of Clearwater 35-3 over Victory Christian. Lake Wells 33-0 over Zephyr Hills. That is a big, big win over a team that was a playoff team last year in Zephyr Hills. And Lake Wells just literally steamrolls them right there in that one. Zephyr Hills Christian 34-14 over Lake Placid. That is a final there. Kathleen 26-21 over Winter Haven. Fort Meade rolls Hardy 49-28. Martin County 35-7 over Bartow. Right now, we're still looking for scores for East Lake Gibson. We're trying to Southwest Florida Christian and Santa Fe Catholic. Some of these games have been affected by weather, so we'll definitely find out what's going on with some of these scores here as we roll through the night. So we'll definitely be there on that one. So, but definitely. So, got anything else to add, Hunter?
I definitely saw the battle of Trinity Christian and White. That game ended up going down to the wire.
Trinity Christian Ed White was 48-40.
Yeah, that game, high scoring, two very good teams right there, and probably may actually be the best public in Jacksonville versus the best private.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you know what? It's interesting is that those two teams don't play each other very often, and you know they're only less than 5 minutes apart from each other. I mean, they're really like because Ed White's right there on Old Middleburg Road, and Trinity Christian's right there off Hammond Boulevard.
Oh wow!
So they're not very far apart from each other, and you wonder why they don't play. They should play with each other more, a little bit more often. It seems like. So, no, I appreciate
Hopefully
it.
They do now.
No, well, hopefully that, especially after the way the night went. Yeah, well, hopefully more will play. Those two will play more often going forward. So definitely appreciate you joining us here, Hunter, on the Florida High School Football Scoreboard show here on Varsity Sports Network.
All right.
All right, appreciate it. Have a good one, Hunter.
All right, you too.
All right, that was Hunter Williams here, joining us here on the Florida High School Football Scoreboard show here on Varsity Sports Network. Hopefully we'll get Dan LaForest here. Again, we're here on until midnight here on Varsity Sports Network across all the network channels that have come in, and we appreciate everybody joining us. And if you've come in live here as from a game on VSN, we welcome you in. And otherwise, appreciate y'all joining us here as we go through scores tonight here. And of course, there's the score stream score ticker right on the bottom of your screen. You can see that. And we're going to take a break here. We'll be back here in about 5 to 7 minutes here on the Florida High School Football Scoreboard show on Varsity Sports Network. All right, welcome back here to the Florida High School Football Scoreboard Show on Varsity Sports Network. Trying to get Dan LaForest, who was at the Jones Cocoa game. By the way, that was final score is 29-19 Jones. Jones comes out on top in this one. How about that? Let's see. Yeah, it's 20. Let me make sure that gave you that right. 29-19. Orlando Jones gets a win over Cocoa. So the number 17 team in the state gets a victory over the number 11 team in the state. Huge win right there for the Jones Tigers. Battle of the Tigers tonight right there. And the one from Orlando gets the win over the one from Cocoa. So, and we'll get Dan LaForest, who was at the game there, try to get him thing. We're having some cell phone connection trouble there, trying to get him in, but we'll try to get him in there as soon as possible here. So let's take a look. Let's actually go to South Florida for right this second. Let's take a look at South Florida, because this is huge. We got to take a look at South Florida because there are a lot of great games going on down there. And let's take a look and see what we've got sitting there for South Florida. Trying to find out what's going on here on our South Florida scoreboard here. We'll try to figure out what's going on there. Try to see why it's actually acting up, but we'll go think. Actually, let's take a look at Broward. Let's go take a look at Broward here in a moment here. We'll do this. Okay, let's do this. Not sure exactly what is happening here on this one, but we'll get this one situated here in just a moment. See if I can't get the situation fixed on that one with the Miami-Dade and Keys, because I really want to take a look down there, see what's going on with that, and we'll find out there. Oh, there we go. There we go. We finally got the Miami-Dade and Keys scoreboard situated here, and then we'll take a look at some of the scores down there from Miami-Dade County. And we got True North over Palm Glades Prep, 48-0 there. A big win right there for True North to open the season. Palmer Trinity, 43-0 over Bridge Prep Academy. Westminster Christian, 50-6 over Everglades Prep. Key West falls to Palmetto Ridge tonight, 22-14. Columbus, 41-15 over Benedictine out of Savannah, Georgia. Big win there for the Explorers to get the season started. Golden Gate, 24-19 over North Miami. And of course, we talked about this one. Number 1, ING Academy falls to number 3, Miami Central, 20-14. And then Durrell Academy, 48-21 over South Broward. Miami Northwestern comes up big against Venice. Number 9, Miami Northwestern, 32. Number 6, Venice, 26. Miami Springs, how about this? This is a very, very interesting win for them. 13-12 over Miami Beach. Miami Beach was projected to be a better team this year than Miami Springs, but Miami Springs comes up big to open the season. 13-12. Miami Carroll City, 28-27 over South Dade. Niceville, 42-6 right now, fourth quarter over North Miami Beach. Of course, North Miami Beach made the trip all the way to Niceville, but Niceville is steamrolling North Miami Beach right now. And of course, some interesting games on the Saturday slate right there. Miami Edison at Cedar Grove, potentially. Not sure if that game's still happening or not, but we'll double check on that one because there were some games involving Miami-Dade teams and Georgia teams that were supposed to have been played this weekend, and they were canceled at the last second. I'm not sure if that was part of those games that got canceled, but we'll find out there. Miami Coral Park and Southwest Miami starting, that'll be a 7:00 kick. And then, of course, Miami Norland and Marist, that was supposed to be played. That game was actually canceled, so that will not be happening this week. And then, of course, Hialeah and Stevenson, that was another one that got pulled off the schedule for this week. So again, some of the Miami-Dade County and the Georgia teams, there were some issues with the contracts, and those games were pulled for week 1. So we'll find out what's going on there in terms of if especially Miami Edison, we'll have to look and see what's going on there, if that game is going to be played or not, because it was still showing on the schedule as of the 2 days ago, but we'll find out and to figure out more going there forward. Taking a look at Broward County real quick, and Miramar 26, Plantation 21, Cardinal Gibbons 11-6 over DeMatha Catholic out of Maryland. Coconut Creek 50-0 on Southeast. Cypress Bay 13-0 over West Broward. That was a first quarter score, so we're not sure if there was a late start there or not. But taking a look at some games from yesterday real quick. Everglades 44-0 over Taravella. Flanagan 20-0 over Nova. Western 33-14 over Johns Creek. Life Christian 21-6 out of Stranahan. South Plantation 27-18 over Coral Glades. That is a very, very interesting score. Thinking Coral Glades was going to win that one. South Plantation has been struggling a little bit. South Plantation just comes out and gets a win there. Win number 1 on the season for the Paladins. Avantgarde 68-3 over Somerset Academy Key. And win right there for Coach Stubbs, who had taken over the program from Daniel Luque, who stepped down right before the season, before we got to right during the summer, actually, when the change happened there at Vanguardia. But Vanguardia 68-3 over Somerset Academy Key there to start the season there in Broward County last night. Looking at Palm Beach, we're going to go into Palm Beach County right now and take a look at some of the finals there. There were some Thursday night games there. We're going to pull up right now, go over those scores. 14-12, Olympic Heights over Sun Coast. West Boca Raton, 34-0 over John I. Leonard. Santa Lucia's Hector Clavijo III, who was the head coach there at Champagnat Catholic for 6 years, took him to the state championship game all 6 years. He was head coach there, including last year's game. And 32-0 for Hector Clavijo III. His first game as the Santa Lucia's Chiefs head coach, 32-20 over Inland Grove. Cardinal Newman steamrolls Pahokee 40-12. That's a final there from last night. Palm Beach Christian Prep 30-13 over LaBelle. John Carroll comes up 20 of a 3-point victory over Benjamin 24-21. And American Heritage Del Rey gets their season started over with a 49-8 win over Tradition Prep, who is now part of the SSAC 11-man football pro teams there. The 31 teams in the Sunshine State Athletic Conference 11-man football there. So a lot right there going on here in the South Florida stretches we just did there. And actually, let's take a look at the Friday night games here in Palm Beach County that have gone final. Fort Pierce Westwood coach Chris Coquel gets his first victory at Fort Pierce Westwood, 36-13 over Royal Palm Beach, over a mentor of his, Chuck Kenyon, who just took over the Royal Palm Beach program during the summer. And how about this? I thought we had 71-6 being the highest score tonight between Godby and Lincoln. Lincoln winning that game 71-6. That is not the case, ladies and gentlemen. Palm Beach Central 80, Palm Beach Lakes 0. Repeat that again. Palm Beach Central 80, Palm Beach Lakes 0. 80 points scored tonight. 80 points to open up the season. Palm Beach Central just racks up 80 points. That, my friends, is a lot of points. Lake Wharf. How about this? Lake Wharf, that has really struggled. Another team that has really struggled down there in Palm Beach County. 48-18 over Spanish River to open the season. Seminole Ridge 22-14 over Glade Central. Jupiter Christian 54-7 over St. Edwards. Boca Raton Christian 41-20 over Slam Academy out of Palm Beach there to open up the season. So some wins there for the Palm Beach County teams as we get rolling. Space Coast and Treasure Coast. How about we head into the Space Coast and Treasure Coast? Why not? Because sometimes we don't show them enough love for whatever they say. But we'll give them all the love we can right here. We'll give them some scores there. 8-man football, Masters Academy of Vero Beach 48-28 over Lakeside Christian. That is a final there. Centennial gets a 16-9 win over Clewiston. Creekside, again, out of near Jacksonville, 49-0 over Vieira. Creekside gets a win right there to open up the season. Lake Howell with 21-6 win over Space Coast. Lake Mineola, 29-14 win over Melbourne. Satellite, 25-14 victory over Palm Bay Heritage. A very, very good win right there for Satellite. Of course, Jones, 29-19 over Cocoa. We just mentioned that. Osceola, 14-5 over Treasure Coast. Martin County gets a 35-7 victory over Bartow, and we got a couple scores still outstanding, including Fort Pierce Central, Jensen Beach, and Holy Trinity Orangewood Christian. So we'll find out there what's going on there with those particular scores. And of course, Sebastian River beat Golden Colorado last night 14-6. So very interesting score there in terms of Sebastian River had struggled last year, get a win, open the season. So very, very important there for Sebastian River as they try to work and rebuild their program there as they've gone independent for the next 2 seasons. Why don't we go to Southwest Florida? Let's take over a trip over to the West Coast. Why don't we? And of course, you notice there's been a lot more Thursday night games going on. As we've been mentioning, Thursday night games, a lot more going on. And you're going to see this throughout the season as we have had a referee shortage. The referee shortage that we've had in the last few years has actually gotten worse. And official associations are really, really struggling to put crews together. And right now they're asking schools to say, hey, we need you to move 1 game, maybe potentially 2 games to Thursday night. Some teams have been willing to move almost all their games to Thursday night this year. There's been a couple that have done it. So we'll be very interesting to see how this works out. But again, we're mentioning a lot of Thursday nights games happening, and you're going to see that here as a common theme throughout the season as we talk here on the Florida High School Football Scoreboard Show on Varsity Sports Network, and as well as on Florida Gridiron Report. You'll see us there on Florida Gridiron Report every Wednesday night, 9 o'clock, new episodes, and Dan LaForce, the host, along with Larry Bluestein. Both Dan LaForce and Larry Bluestein doing a heck of a job there with the Florida Gridiron Report, so definitely want to tune in for that. Let's take a look at Southwest Florida with some of the scores here. There's been some postponements, including Estero and Northport. Apparently, it looks like Estero may have gotten a win by a forfeit over Northport. Not sure what's going on with Northport. Northport's been struggling, has went declared independent for the next 2 years, and they're trying to really build a program there, and we'll see what's going on there with the Bobcats. But Estero gets a forfeit victory tonight over Northport. Cypress Lake Gateway, Cape Coral, Ida Baker, South Fort Myers, Gulf Coast, Mariner, East Lake County, all those games right here just mentioned postponed, and I believe weather has been a factor down there in Southwest Florida. Riverdale 25-22 over Lely, Evangelical Christian 14-0 over St. Stephen's, Palmetto Ridge again 22-14 over Key West, Canterbury out of Fort Myers 49-0 over Marco Island Academy, Golden Gate 24-19 over North Miami, Barron Collier 37-13 over IMG Academy Blue, Bonita Springs 21-13 over Island Coast, Dunbar gets a 23-3 victory over Charlotte, Bishop Verot beats Port Charlotte 57-49, barn burner there over there at Port Charlotte with Bishop Verot. Naples a 45-9 winner over Lehigh. Lehigh's got some talent there, but not denied, not showing there on the field there for them. And 45-9 over for Naples over Lehigh. Big victory right there for the Golden Eagles. Naples First Baptist 43-0 over St. John Newman, and that's actually a district game right there. Another district game to open the season there. District Class 1S, District 8 right there. Naples First Baptist already in the driver's seat for the district championship as we complete week one, as we wrap up week one. We won't wrap up officially week one until tomorrow night, but week one here, a lot of it wrapping up here on the first Friday night of the 2022 high school football season. Of course, a lot going on, and we're really excited about what's happening here in the Sunshine State. And you know what? Let's go drift up just a little bit north from Southwest Florida. Let's just take a little trip up I-75 into the Suncoast, Manatee, Sarasota, and Charlotte counties. We'll take a look at some of the scores there that we've got. And of course, Sanford Seminole rolls Sarasota Riverview 48-0, Parish Community 39-15 over Ponciana, Bradenton Christian 39-0 over Keswick Christian, Coconut Creek 50-0 over Southeast, Palmetto 24-20 over Gibbs, Manatee a 38-0 winner over Wiregrass Ranch. That right there is stunning. 38-0. A lot of talk about Wiregrass Ranch being the team to beat in their district this year because they're in the same district of Mitchell. You might have to put a pause a bit on that one. That one, there's a little bit of a pause there. We'll find out. Cardinal Mooney was up 10-9 on Booker in the fourth quarter. We'll see what that score looks like there as it hopefully goes final here soon. Take a look. We'll try to hit Hillsborough, Pinellas, and the North Sun Coast here in a few moments, but hopefully I can get Dan LaForest here on the thing to talk about the Coco Jones game. Hopefully we'll do that. But anyways, let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in about 5 minutes here on the Florida High School Football Scoreboard Show on Varsity Sports Network. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this. All right, I lied. We're not going to even have a break for 5 minutes. I've got Dan LaForce joining us here on the Florida High School Football Scoreboard Show on Varsity Sports Network. Hey, Dan, I know we've had an interesting ball game that happened over there at Cocoa tonight.
Yeah, I tell you what, we didn't think we were going to get to play this thing. It was lightning and thundering, and we had rain the entire game, so it was extremely tough field conditions. And I tell you what, there was a lot of fortitude on both sides of the ball, but Jones came out with a fire after that loss to Northwestern this past Saturday night.
No, absolutely. And Jones was looking for some fire because Miami Northwestern won their game tonight over Venice. And man, just talk about, because I know weather really had an impact over there on the Space Coast, because another big game over there, that Rockledge and Gulliver Prep, that game got wiped off the schedule.
They did, and it was rumored that Gulliver Prep did stay the night, and they're going to play tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. That is not confirmed, but it was talked about tonight.
That would be very interesting if they do get that game off tomorrow. That will be huge, both for both Gulliver Prep and Rockledge. But I mean, just talk about for Jones and Cocoa, what happened there. I mean, because I know that Cocoa, they come out ranked the number 11 team in the state, and Jones was ranked number 17. So I mean, Jones probably had a bone to pick about the rankings after this.
Well, I think at the end of the day, two great football teams with a lot of talent. There was probably 30 D1 kids on the field at one time between the two programs. So, again, I think there's, this is week one. There's a lot of growth across the state with a lot of these programs, but don't be surprised if Cocoa doesn't pull it together. They got a brand new quarterback in Blake Boda, transfers over from Seabreeze. He's only been with his team for a couple months. And there were some communication issues with that offense. And, on the Jones side of the ball, again, I thought both defenses played really well. But, until you get to about week 4, you really don't know who you are anyway. And Jones has got to go to Duncanville, Texas next week. Cocoa's got a bye week before Ryan Schneider takes his team down to South Florida, back to his home roots, and playing St. Thomas Aquinas here in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's very interesting. You mentioned that, because again, like Jones is going out to Texas, so that's going to be a tough business trip right there for Jones next week. But a win here for them actually gives them momentum to go in and play Duncanville next week. So I mean, at the end of the day, compared to what you saw, in the kickoff classic tonight, I mean, how did Jones seem to look a lot better in this game?
Well, I think Jones, I don't think Jones looked bad last week. It's just that Miami Northwestern was a lot faster across the board. Our friend Larry Bluestein and I talked about that before the game. Is Jones has a lot of fast players. Miami Northwestern was fast across the board, and they showed that last week in Camping World Stadium. But again, don't discount the Cocoa Tigers. I think they've got an incredible team, and with the first few weeks being extremely tough, it's going to be very interesting to see how they gel in about week 4, week 5.
No, absolutely. And of course, Dan, I got to bring this up to you. Your Apopka Blue Daughters almost about blew it tonight.
Well, I think there's a couple things that you have to take a look there. Ocoee's gotten much better. They have a couple really good players. And Apopka, lost a lot of senior talent last year. Linebacker, they lost 2-star linebackers. They lose Nakai Martinez in the backfield. And they lost a lot of senior leadership on the offensive side of the ball. So, I think Apopka's got, and don't forget, Apopka every year seems to kick it into another gear around week 5, week 6. So, but you got to give Ocoee a lot of credit. I think Ocoee's a much improved program. They have always hung with Apopka. We saw that 2 years ago when they came to Apopka. So I know it was a homecoming for Keandre Jones, transfers from Apopka to Ocoee, coming back to Big Blue Country. Had to have been a very difficult thing for him this week.
No, absolutely right there. And that, of course, definitely a difficult thing right there to do when you're having to go play against your former team there in a ball game like that. But, of course, Apopka comes out 13-12 on Ocoee right there. And there's been some interesting games, and I know weather has been a factor. I mean, you look at weather, this is Florida. Weather's going to be a factor when we start high school football season. I think it's even more a factor now.
I saw like Brantley over Oviedo. I think that's a little bit surprising. That tells me that Lake Brantley, that their offense really worked in their favor in such bad weather conditions. Also, look at Osceola. Osceola beat knocked off coast to coast. And Osceola was on the bubble of making our top 25.
Right.
They very well could be in there come next week.
Well, I'll tell you this. How about this one that we've talked about, right? And the thing we think number 1 and number 3, number 1 IMG Academy, number 3 Miami Central going at it tonight. Number 3 Miami Central comes up with the big win tonight over IMG Academy.
Yeah, you have to kind of take a look at that. A lot of people are probably saying it's David versus Goliath, and Miami is loaded. And I think they just came in there and played the best game of their life. And, you got to give them a lot of credit. I expect that we'll probably see them as the number 1 team in the state come next week. And, obviously we got a lot to talk about here on Sunday, but, there's a lot of great football being played early in the season this year. And that's why we're going to see the polls jump around a little bit here in the first few weeks.
Oh, no, absolutely. There's going to be some shakeups here, definitely, indeed, along the way. And I'm going, let me hit back to the Orlando North scoreboard, which is all of Daytona Beach and Seminole, because that one right there, I believe, you said something about Lake Brantley and Oviedo, and I did see something about that. And I believe actually Oviedo did end up actually coming out on top in the very end of that one, probably a last second. Yeah, Oviedo 26, Lake Brantley 21, but still a close game. Still a close game, at the end of the day, especially when the fact you factor weather into the equation.
Oh, no doubt about it, considering that Oviedo is very pass heavy. And, again, that's why it was surprising. Last I saw, I believe Lake Brantley was up 21-6. But, you've got, and geez, man, Seminole huge over Riverview.
Now, then we got to talk about Bobby Latmore's team for a moment, DeLand, because DeLand had a big lead up on Mainland, and Mainland came back and roared back on him to win 42-29 tonight.
And knowing that single wing offense with Rick Darlington, that is a very difficult thing to do once a team gets up on you. And again, DeLand is one of these teams that is rebuilding, if you will. But Travis Rowland and the Buccaneers, we're expecting a lot out of them this season, and I think that was a great start for them, kicking off week 1.
Absolutely, and I think this is going to be something I want to bring up on the Florida Gridiron Report, not just with rankings and stuff, but I think we need to talk about it a little bit. And I'll talked to hit it a little bit, but by the way, Bill Castle now has 460 wins as of tonight, 42-6 over Clearwater. Number 10 Lakeland, 42, Clearwater 6. State record is 465. Bill Castle's going to clip that record this year if he keeps winning. So
yeah, Bill Castle. I mean, he's one of the last remaining legends in the state of Florida, and what he's done in his career as the head coach is going to go down in the record book for sure. You got to give a lot of credit to what he's built in Lakeland, and Lakeland's going to be a very strong team this year. A lot of great talent on that team, and that whole Polk belt there is going to have some great football. And Bill Castle. I mean, there's really not a lot more you can say other than when he decides not to coach anymore, he's going to be missed.
No, absolutely, and everything. So, but looking at everything around the Sunshine State, there's a lot going on here, and I mean, high school football. Hey, it's week 1, it's under the way, and it's swinging here.
No, absolutely. And again, that's what a lot of discussion in Metro Suburban, but you got to look at the scheduling. I think this is going to be one of the most exciting football seasons we've seen in years. No,
absolutely. I agree with you. And especially the way Metro Suburban played out, the way team scheduled out, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch here as the 2022 season gets underway here. And Dan, I appreciate you stopping by here and talking some football here. And we'll catch you we'll catch everybody on the Florida Gridiron Report the next new episode, 9:00 Wednesday night, right on Varsity Sports Network. No, absolutely. Appreciate it, Dan. All right. That was Dan LaForce there on Varsity Sports Network there from the Coco Jones game. Again, that one right there, Jones 29, Coco 19, the final there out of that one. Let's head over to the North Sun Coast, get some scores there as we roll through. Mitchell 49-0 over Gulf. Hudson 26-0 over Hernando. Springstead 51-0 over Tavares. Wildwood a 28-21 winner over Orlando Christian Prep. Lake Wells. How about this? Lake Wells 33, Zephyr Hills nothing. Zephyr Hills Christian 34, Lake Placid 14, Anclote 14, Bronson 6, How about this one? Interesting score. Citrus 23, Brooksville Central 21. Very, very close game against two evenly matched teams. Crystal River 30, Weeki Wachee 13, Cypress Creek 20, 5A 13. And that's Cypress Creek out of Wesley Chapel there on that one. Bellevue 21, Lecanto 15, Pasco 33, East Ridge 13, Seven Rivers Christian 32, Bell Creek Academy 20, and St. John Lutheran 30-0 over Academy at the Lakes. And that's a look at the North Suncoast. And not sure what's going on with South Southern the Villages right now, but we'll see if we get a score update on that one here pretty soon on that as we go through here on some of the games here on the Florida High School Football Scoreboard Show here on Varsity Sports Network. Again, we appreciate everybody tuning in here on VSN as you join us in from your games, wherever you've been watching from on some of the VSN channels, including VSN Orlando or VSN Space Coast, VSN Daytona, a lot of different channels having games tonight. Again, thank you for watching here on Varsity Sports Network. A couple areas that we have not hit on yet, Hillsborough and Pinellas. Let's hit on those areas right now. Hillcrest out of Alabama, 35-19 over Armwood. Alonzo, 73, Tampa Freedom 8. I think we have talked about 73, 71, 80 points. I don't think we've seen that many points scored in week one like that ever before by three different teams. So that's really, really interesting right there. Durant, 39-0 over Chamberlain. Gaither, 27-21 over Steinbrenner. Jesuit, 24-13 over Wharton. Blake, a 30-0 winner over Lato. Strawberry Crest, 28-7 over King. East Bay 41-0 over Middleton. Jefferson gets a win over Sickles 38-26. Tampa Bay Tech comes out just by a hair 28-21 over Plant. Sumner 44-33 over Bloomingdale. Riverview 45, Brandon nothing, Newsom 42, Plant City 19, Sefner Christian 21-27, 41-27 over the Masters County of Oviedo. And that wraps up Hillsborough County right there, and we'll take a look at Pinellas County. How about this? Seminole Osceola, 23-20 over Palm Harbor University. Largo, 21-0 over Pinellas Park. St. Petersburg, 48-12 over Tarpon Springs. Lake Gibson, a 28-20 winner over Eastlake. Palmetto, 24-20 over Gibbs. Bradenton Christian, 39-0 over Keswick Christian. And let's take a look at some scores from last night. There was a couple games in Pinellas County there. Boca Ciega 27-0 over Seminole, and Green Mountain, Colorado 47-0 over Hollins. Those are your finals out of Pinellas County from Thursday night. So again, a lot going around the Sunshine State here. We're coming to you live here on Varsity Sports Network and the Florida High School Football Scoreboard Show, and definitely appreciate everybody joining us here as we roll through here with the Scoreboard Show. And again, a lot going on. We appreciate everybody joining us here. Again, a lot of games week one, really underway. A lot of games, some games postponed until tomorrow because of weather. So definitely a big thing right there to keep an eye on. But we're going to take a look at some of the other games. We're actually going to go trip over to the Panhandle. We have not talked about the Panhandle. We usually save the Panhandle for last because, again, Central Time Zone, and makes a lot harder for us to deal with them at the first. But we always put them to the last because of this, so that way we get them here and fresh off their games as they go final. And definitely the case here. We've got a bunch of finals now for the Panhandle. Crestview 50-28 over Ridley out of Pennsylvania. Mosley 24-23 out of Delaware against Delaware Valley from Pennsylvania as well. So two games right there against out-of-state teams there for the Panhandle teams to open up the season, and both of them are victories right there off the bat. Liberty County 21-0 over Vernon. Walton defeats Mariana 28-7. North Bay Havens a 35-7 winner over Franklin County. Bay is a 37-7 winner over Arnold. Jay falls to W.S. Neal out of Alabama 25-0. Fairhope, Alabama beats Gulf Breeze 38-31. Rocky Bayou defeats New Christian out of Alabama 64-16. Navarre is a 47-7 winner over Fort Walton Beach tonight. South Walton, a 38-0 winner over Baker. Booker T. Washington out of Pensacola defeats Pensacola High 51-43. Northview is a 48-33 winner over Flomaton out of Alabama. West Florida, 14-11 over Escambia. That is final there. Geneva's up 46-14 on Bozeman right now. Andalusia is up 42-10 31 and the thing, and I think so. Appreciate Maddie Little joining the checking in. Appreciate the comments, Maddie. Definitely appreciate it. Maddie Little from Varsity Sports Network, texting in, watching the Scoreboard show as we go through this. And of course, right now, Andalusia out of Alabama, 42-31 over Milton right now. Niceville 42-6 over North Miami Beach. Those games are still in the progress of fourth quarter. So again, we're really getting really close to having more of these scores go final as we roll through here, as we approach. We're now 20 minutes until midnight Eastern time, or 20 minutes until 11 o'clock Central time if you're joining us ever on the other side of the Apalachicola River in the Central Time Zone. Yeah, I know where the Central Time Zone line is, right along the Apalachicola River, unless you're in Gulf County. And then it divides right there in the middle of Gulf County between Port St. Joe and Weehawahitchika. Port St. Joe Eastern Time, Weehawahitchika Central Time. A lot of people don't realize that, but the only county in Florida that's divided by 2 time zones. So very, very, very interesting stuff right there. So let's see if we've got any additional final scores that have popped up. Trying to find out what's going on here. I mean, I'm still trying to get 71 points for Lincoln tonight, 80 points for Palm Beach Central, 73 for Alonzo. I mean, some big points right there. And some very, very interesting points in this week 1 thing. Here we go. Taylor County 22-17 over Fort White. That is a final. That is a final we had not had before. That thing now has come in. So we've got that final there. Taking a look at some things here. North Marion 39, Force 14. That's a 4-quarter game. That game got started late there due to weather. Trying to find out about Santa Fe Newberry, if that game wrapped up or not. We're going to try to check in. Scott Lapierre, I think, who was doing some correspondence for the Gainesville Sun. We're going to try to find out from him if try to pull up and see if what's happened with that particular game, and see if I can find out anything else what has happened here. Week 1 with Williston and Hamilton County postponed. Says right now the game will not be played tomorrow. They're hoping to reschedule. So Williston and Hamilton County no go this weekend. We're going to try to find out about what happened with Scott's game thing. Weather delay second quarter was 27-13 second quarter. It looks like it's postponed due to weather. It does not look like they're going to finish it tonight. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe Mother Nature will let them play tomorrow morning. We will find out hopefully soon enough on that one. So it's just it's the rain. The rain definitely has had an impact on games here around the Gainesville area tonight. So that has been a huge thing right there. All right, it's 42 after. I'm going to take about a 5-minute break, and we'll come back in and we'll wrap this thing up, because we'll sign off right around midnight, and we'll call it a night. So we'll finish up here on the Florida High School Football Scoreboard Show after a 5 to 7 minute break. We'll be right back here right after this. There we go. All right, now we're back here on the Florida High School Football Scoreboard Show here on the Varsity Sports Network. As we are 10 minutes out, we're wrapping it up here. We will sign off at 59 as we get ready, and things will return to network programming on Varsity Sports Network, whichever channel you're watching on across the multiple channels, to all 16 channels across the Sunshine State. And of course, Octavius McCullough, making sure that we get on live tonight here on the network. And again, we're getting some final few things wrapped up. We've got a final few more scores rolling in, so we're trying to take a look at those here. Our understanding right now is that the Baker County Bradford game, Bradford was up 21-0 second quarter. That game was called due to weather. We're not sure when, if and when that game is going to be made up. That is a big rivalry game there between those two teams there. And two of the teams that are ranked in the top 15 in Class 2S to start the season. So we'll have to hold on a little bit more and hopefully find out what is going to happen between those two teams and if they are actually going to make up that game or not. Of course, the Florida High School Athletic Association rules state that the game must get to halftime in order for it to count on the record officially, unless the teams otherwise agree to it. And most teams don't ever agree to call a game like that and have it count on the record before it gets to halftime. Usually teams really like to try to get those games in and get an official score, especially now that everything has switched from RPI to the Max Preps power ranking. That's what we call the Florida High School Football, the FHA power ranking is what they call it now. And that's powered by Max Preps. And that's a formula that goes much deeper than anybody really knows. We just know that it can circle back many times between the opponents that you played in terms of the calculating the strength of schedule and the power ranking for the teams. We do know that on that power ranking itself, that the only thing that does not factor in is the margin of victory. So that is the big thing right there, is when you look at the power rankings that are on the Max Preps website compared to what the FHA is going to post, there will be some differences at the end of the day, but don't look at those as the official power rankings. When you go to Max Preps, the FHA will run the power rankings directly on FHA.com during the season. And hopefully we'll have some more information soon when they will start doing that here. We're assuming that around about week 5, week 6 is when they'll start releasing the power rankings. And of course, we'll bring all that information to you here on Varsity Sports Network as we find that information out and we get the season really rolling here. Of course, this is only week 1, but hey, every game, all 10 games matter. Everything on your schedule matters here in terms of the power ranking when it comes to being able to get into the playoffs. So first goal, win a district championship. That's how you get into the playoffs. First thing, district championship. If you don't win the district championship, power ranking will come into play. So now that is for all classifications except Class 1R. 1R will be the top 6 teams based upon the power ranking will get in. But everybody else that has districts, including all the metropolitan and suburban classifications, they will have their district championships, and that's how you get into the playoffs first, and then the power ranking will come into play after that for the at-large berth. So again, that's a quick rundown of how the playoffs are going to work here during the 2022 season, so be ready for that. A couple of other scores that have popped in: Hilliard 41-20 over FAMU DR, that's a final there. Bowles a 34-13 winner over St. Augustine, and of course University Christian is a 33-14 winner over Union County to open the season there. So more scores have come thing, and Tucoy Creek 36-19 over the new rival Beachside. They're the battle of the first and second year programs there in St. Johns County to get the 2022 season underway right there. So again, some lot going on right here around the Sunshine State. And of course, let's take a look and see if we have any other finals that may have popped up, because again, whether Mother Nature has decided she wants to do whatever she wants tonight, and we just have to just really play with her game, because we just can't mess with Mother Nature for some reason. We can't stop it. We don't have the weather remote. We definitely do not have a weather remote to stop the antics of Mother Nature. But taking a look here, let's see real quick here what else we have gone final around the Sunshine State. Hopefully we'll see what's here. Nothing else on the Orlando Metro scoreboard. Actually, I don't think I had this one earlier, but actually these two: Boone 20-12 over Timber Creek, and Central Florida Christian 54-27 over St. Cloud. So those games have gone final there in the Orlando Metro area. Let's see if we've got anything else that has popped up in Orlando North. Haggerty 28-7 over Orange City University. That is a final there. Let's see. Pop over to trying to see where else we have had some finals that were still outstanding, and nothing there. And Pinellas trying to Armwood on the road this week in Alabama at Hillcrest. Hillcrest takes down Armwood 35-25, so that is a final there. In that regard, let's see if there's anything else that is thing. A lot of scores have gone final. Of course, you can check out all the scores on the FortHSFootball.com scoreboards. Go to FortHSFootball.com, click on scoreboards, and you can get all your scoreboards there and across the Sunshine State each and every week. And we appreciate everybody that has visited FortHSFootball.com tonight, and of course, watching us here on Varsity Sports Network. It's been a lot of fun here. We're coming up here just 4 minutes until midnight Eastern time, 4 minutes until 11 o'clock Central time, at those out there west of the Apalachicola River. And let's take a look here real quick and looking at the thing. Okay, Dillard did that. Number 15 Dillard, that was a final there. 35-0 over Rock Creek Christian out of Maryland. So that game did finally go final out there. Trying to take a look and see who else. Yeah, everything has pretty much gone final on our top 25 scoreboards. Again, 3 games for tomorrow for top 25 teams. Number 4, St. Thomas Aquinas versus St. Joseph's Prep at 12 o'clock tomorrow. And then number 13, American Heritage Plantation playing Los Alamitos out of California. That's a 4 o'clock kick. And number 2, Shemana Madonna playing St. John's out of Washington, D.C. That is an 8 o'clock kick. Again, all those games played tomorrow at St. Thomas Aquinas in Fort Lauderdale. So all 3 games, you can catch those. That is part of the Broward versus USA Showcase. And right now, as it stands, Florida is 3-1 in the Broward versus USA Showcase here. And hopefully they'll come out of this one 6-1 at the end of the day tomorrow. So again, a lot of going on in the top 25. Again, we've had a couple upsets in the top 25. Of course, number 3, Miami Central 20-14 over number 1 IMG Academy, and then Homestead beating number 20 Miami Palmetto last night 19-7. So again, right there. And of course, there was a barn burner in Jacksonville, number 14 Trinity Christian 48-40 over Ed White. 2 schools not even about 5 minutes away from each other there on the west side of Jacksonville. Don't usually play each other on the regular season schedule that often, but this year they finally did, and that was a one for the ages there over there in Jacksonville. So if you wanted some barn burner football, you got that there between Trinity Christian and Ed White tonight. So again, a lot happening in the Sunshine State. Week 1 is already mostly in the books. A few games tomorrow on the Saturday slate around the Sunshine State. Of course, some makeup games as well because of Mother Nature and her antics tonight. But this is the story of the way things go. And of course, we're still right in the thick of the woods of hurricane season. So we always have to keep an eye on that as we do each and every year, but hopefully knock on wood somewhere. I think I got some wood somewhere right here to knock on. That will not be a factor here in the 2022 season because we want to watch our football. Football is great in the Sunshine State. And as Dan LaForce said earlier, a lot of things have the way the scheduling has been set for this year. There's a lot of great games. We have looked at a lot of great games, potential great games, all the way from started this week all the way through week 11. So get your popcorn out, get your candy bars, get whatever you want out because this season's going to be fun, and then we're going to be here for you each and every week here on Varsity Sports Network, the Florida High School Football Scoreboard Show, the Florida Gridiron Report with Dan LaForce and Larry Bluestein. A lot there, but as we get ready to sign off, we'll see you next week here or on Varsity Sports Network, the Florida High School Football Scoreboard Show. We appreciate it. So long and good night from Gainesville.